Are we recording?
Yeah.
Hello.
I just
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Geeks Assembled. And today we've got Susan, Jake, Connor, Craig, and what was your name again?
David.
David.
Your name there for a second.
And today we're going to be talking about, and hey, Susan's got the right wallpaper. As you could guess, we're talking about a Gothic Christmas masterpiece that was released in 1992 by Tim Burton. We are talking about the comic book movie Batman Returns. And this is the sequel to the 1989 Batman movie. And in many ways, these are the two Batman films that started it all, that got comic book movies off at the ground. And this one was more in control by Tim Burton than it was by Hollywood. Tim Burton went full force with his style in this one. And he gave us the villains Catwoman and specifically the big villain Penguin. And so I suppose without further ado, we'll talk about this movie and our opening thoughts. So we'll start with, let's go to Connor actually.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I do like this one. I think apart from The Dark Knight, this is probably my favourite Batman film. I do feel like Tim Burton was given a bit more freedom with this one than the 1989 one, so I'm wondering if, because it was such a big property at the time, Warner Brothers kind of wanted a bit more say. And I think I saw a documentary where it kind of alluded to that fact. I do like the darker tone of this one. I think the cast is phenomenal. Michael Keaton, as always, is fantastic. Michelle Pfeiffer as Selina Kyle and Catwoman, and obviously Danny DeVito, I think, is the standout, alongside Christopher Walken as the Penguin. Yeah, it's a lot darker. It's a Christmas film, which is appropriate that we're doing it in December. It's got a lot of kind of strange, gory bits, I think, in it. One of my favourite moments, which I'll get onto my favourite moments later, but one of them is when Penguin bites off the guy's nose. Yeah, that's always entertaining.
Added it to his own.
Yeah. But I think it's really driven by the cast. I think the three main people there that Susan's handily showing on her green screen, they're the main driving force of this. And Jack Nicholson as the Joker is phenomenal. But I think that this movie for me, villains wise, stands out a little bit more. And it's possibly because I'm a Heath Ledger and now Joaquin Phoenix fan on the Joker front, that I don't really rate Jack Nicholson as highly. But I just think that this is a more kind of standout film for me. And the 89 one isn't bad at all. The subsequent two sequels were terrible, but Forever was passable. But yeah, I think I just like the darker, more gothic tone of this one, and I am sad that Burton didn't get to kind of close out his trilogy, because he did have one. I can't remember the name of it. It was Batman. Ethan might know the name of it. He had
It was going to be called Batman Continues, and
yeah,
I agree. The sad part was he wanted Robin Williams as the Riddler, a more psychopathic Riddler. Wow.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee Jones was definitely going to come back as Two-Face.
Yeah,
and he was gonna build it up to the Scarecrow.
Yeah, I mean, Robin Williams as the Riddler would have been phenomenal. But yeah, I like the gothic tone of it. I like the story. I like how the origins of particularly Selina Kyle come about, getting pushed out the window by Christopher Walken's character. I just think it's a well thought out film for a Batman one. It's definitely in my top three of the current ones that are out.
Thanks, Connor. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going to get to my own thoughts once I've done all of you guys, but I do agree. Yeah, it's a shame Burton didn't get to do the third one, and this one does kind of leave you wanting more, doesn't it? Because he gets full control. And the first film was sort of like a blueprint. It's obviously got a bit of Hollywood because Hollywood helped out Tim Burton. But because Tim Burton had full control of this one, this was like his masterpiece, and he was saying, "This is the world I want us to explore with all the other villains." And can you imagine a Tim Burton take on Scarecrow? That would have been epic.
Mm.
You could imagine a Nightmare Vision, but it's all done in like Nightmare Before Christmas style. But anyways, let's go to. I know there's a certain person on here who loves the Penguin as a villain, so let's go to Jake.
This film, like I said in my Gremlins 2 review last week, my childhood had many supporting pillars, one being Gremlins, one being Doctor Who, one being Jurassic Park, and the fourth one has always been Batman Returns. I grew up with a massive Danny DeVito Penguin poster on my back door, and Ethan is right, Penguin is my favourite character, and I bloody love this film. It's so it's chock-a-block full of unique takes on already at this point well-established characters, and it works perfectly. It's so good. Danny DeVito is phenomenal in this film, and so is Michelle Pfeiffer. If you go up to someone and ask them who's your favourite Catwoman, they'll usually say Michelle Pfeiffer, unless you're Connor who said it's Anne Hathaway. But yeah. Yeah, but she was good. That whole scene with her going, "I don't know about you, Miss Kitty, but I feel positively yummy." I know I don't have the same sex appeal as Michelle Pfeiffer, but you get the idea. But yeah, that's my opening thoughts on Batman Returns. Over to you, Ethan.
Thanks, Jake. Let's go to Susan. What's your opening thoughts?
All right. Well, my opening thoughts. My favorite Catwoman has got to be the one in Batman in the '60s. She was great. And,
Oh yeah.
but like Michael Keaton is a great Batman, and Danny DeVito. This whole week is actually our Danny DeVito Christmas week, because we've got this and then Deck the Halls, and we'd like to release them to you at like during your Christmas time, so you can enjoy these podcasts. And so yeah, Danny DeVito's Penguin is really, really cool and really, really sinister and fun, and great darkness and gothic nature done by Burton. And yeah, Michael Keaton is a great Batman. I mean, I just have to I have to really enjoy. I happen to really enjoy all of his takes on the Cape Crusader. So yeah, it's fun.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Susan. Let's go to Craig and David.
I mean, Tim Burton is a masterful director, and this Batman Returns was just a little beautiful Nightmare Before Christmas nugget of Tim Burton-ness. And the costumes are slick. It's just the very rubbery costumes. But I suppose they had to use what they had back then. So, but I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer as a Catwoman, I mean, she steals the show. I mean, she's just a brilliant character. I really loved her in this. And Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I mean, what an actor and what a great villain he was. The only thing I was thinking of, the Penguin. I think they should have done like a backstory on the parents, because what happened, like,
that's what my girlfriend was asking.
Produced the Penguin. Yeah. I mean, what was going on? I mean, did they have sex with the Penguin, or I don't know. But I think they should. Maybe it would be interesting to see like a prequel to the origins of Penguin. And
did he not have sex with the Penguin biscuit?
if he had siblings, we don't know, and to be chucked off the bridge like that as well. I mean, it's pretty. They didn't even just chuck the baby off; they just chucked the whole thing off the bridge. From the get-go, it was just fast-paced action. I mean, it was non-stop. I mean, with a beautiful soundtrack by Danny Elfman, it just tied it up with a bow, which is brilliant. It was just non-stop, and there was not any scenes we think, "Oh, this is dragging." As soon as the first scene came on, it was just the show was on, you know.
Yeah.
And
I think, right, and then like Tim Burton was saying, like when he got to sort of to do the sort of director, like the first one, he wanted to take it away from the kitschy sort of, you know, Burt Ward and Adam West, you know, because I mean, I love the old '60s sort of Batman, you know, but it was a bit like, you know, public safety cap, climbing up walls and all that. But this really took it down created the gothic, you know. And of course, but it's funny, I was looking at Michelle Pfeiffer's the mask. It shows quite a bit of her face, but she's also got like a secondary mask for her eyeliner. It's almost like there's two faces there, you know. Definitely one of the best Catwoman's, you know, classic. And I love the way they changed the voice at some kind of, I know it was like a computer sort of thing at some point. His voice always went down a tone or two, you know, to kind of disguise him from Bruce Wayne, like, you know. I love that sort of sound, like, yeah, absolutely fab. And the Batmobile looks great, and it gets better and better all the time, like, you know, as they bring in the devices and all the fun gadgets, you know. Really classic goth humor. For sure.
Okay, the one that the '60s Catwoman that I really liked was Julie Newmar.
Okay. Oh yeah, she was great. Yeah, she was great.
All right. Just
Cool.
had to lay that in there.
I just wish the Penguin was more like like I wanted more umbrella usage. I wanted people to be like poisoned left, right, and centre with different coloured umbrellas and that. But they did use the umbrellas quite well. But I'd have liked to see more
usage.
more
You could have joined
killings
the
and
Kings
poisonings and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I as many of you know, I love Batman, but this was actually the first live-action Batman movie I ever saw back in the early 90s. I can't remember when it was, about 1993, 1994. So
yeah.
1 year after they released it, it was on TV. And this reminds me back in the days when my mum would go to work and I'd stay up with my dad. My dad saw this as a chance to say, come on, stay up with me, son. Let's watch some movies. And we did. We watched this. And every kid I knew was terrified of this movie. But I mean, maybe it was my state of mind. Even as a kid, I was nuts going, oh, I loved it because I grew up with Batman, the animated series. So when I watched this, a lot of this movie has influenced a lot of Batman stuff. Like Batman, the animated series, they got the drawers to come in, the animators to come in and say, can we draw Danny DeVito? And they did that. So when you watch Batman, the animated series, he's got the same look, but a bit more refined and posh. And the same with Catwoman. The Batcave is the exact same cave from Batman, the animated series. And it's influenced even the Arkham games, the Batman Arkham games, where they have a very gothic style to it. And even the music's very Danny Elfman. So it's influenced a lot. And it's funny because back then people weren't happy with the darker tone. And you kind of think, what did you expect? It's Batman. It's meant to be adult and scary, you know, and they were complaining like, oh, Penguin's a child killer. In many ways, I actually quite liked it in a scary way. And like the fact they did change it up. They took liberties with it. Okay, they took liberties with Catwoman and Penguin, but you know what? Good for them. Because Tim Burton said, these two, I'm not sure, how can I change them up a bit? Like the Joker. So he made Catwoman basically a woman who had been picked on by men and bullied by people up to the point she gets pushed out the window and just her mind snaps and she's more insane in this one. And Penguin, obviously, what more can you do with this one? But he perfected the Penguin into a psychopathic child killer who was deformed, who's literally deformed into the form of a penguin. And, you know, you couldn't get any better with this movie. For me personally, and the older I've gotten, when I was growing up, my favorite Batman film was the first film with Jack Nicholson as Joker. And I could easily say The Dark Knight or something, but actually, out of every live action Batman film, I'm not going to include Joker with Joaquin Phoenix because technically Batman's not in it and that's more about Joker. So like a full on Batman film, but I actually find myself picking this one as my favorite Batman film of all time. There's just something about it I keep going back to. And I think because Tim Burton took over it more, you want to see what would Mr. Freeze look like? What would Poison Ivy look like? What would Scarecrow look like? How far would have Tim Burton taken it? And in a psychological study, that's what makes the three big characters great. It's all about duality. And I think one of the taglines was a trilogy of madness. All three are mad. And that depicts all three of them perfectly. You know, Batman, something we never really see much in some of the recent Batman films was the psychology of their mental illness. And this one actually does it to a good degree. Catwoman, mentally unhinged. Penguin, mentally unhinged because he was kicked out by his parents, living in a sewers. And obviously Batman, it is torn like, do I be Bruce Wayne for Michelle Pfeiffer, Selena Kyle, or do I keep being Batman? And it's even at the end, which I'll say about favorite moments, depicts it, you know, Catwoman is torn mentally. Do I stay as Catwoman, or do I be Selena and live a happy life? Because I finally found the man who loves me. Because every man kicked her out. But I just think that this one just captured everything perfectly. And it's a shame we never got Tim Burton to do a third one, because if you're as old as me, you'll remember the McDonald's ads for this. And that was, McDonald's did try to sell toys for this at the time. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons people thought, oh, we could take our kids to see this. No, you fucking can't. Yeah, that's right. And eventually they did. They thought, but they took them to see the first film, and Jack Nicholson brutally burns a guy alive, you know, electrocuting his hand, burns him. So you kind of think, what were parents thinking back then? And it's, you just think you could have had Tim Burton back for the third one, but then they said it didn't do as well. But I think over time people have been more forgiven for this one, because they think, yeah, Batman is actually that dark. It does capture the comics of that time. Particularly if you've ever read it, there's a comic book called Arkham Asylum, which is about Batman getting trapped in the asylum on April Fool's Day. There's Joker, all the villains have taken over. And that came out in 1988. And that was one of the most brutal comics you could ever read, because it tells like a flashback story where the creator of the asylum had created this asylum, he had a wife and kid, and his first inmate decapitates his daughter and puts her head in a doll's house. Whoa. So you can't, which is pretty nasty and brutal. So you think there's been child killers in the Batman comics before, but I think people were just not used to Penguin being a child killer. But, you know, it's a great movie. I absolutely adore this film, the darkness, the gothic masterpiece of this movie. And I got my girlfriend Sharon to watch this with me. She said, Ethan, you pick your favorite Christmas film. And I said, it was this one. And she's looking at me like, what? And so we watched it. She loved it. She thought it was great. She'd seen the first one with Kim Basinger and Jack Nicholson and all that. But we got to one bit. She's like, Ethan, what's so Christmassy about this movie? I've just seen a Christmas tree and that's it. And I said to her, well, it's basically Batman trying to save the kids from being murdered by the Penguin before Christmas Day and hopefully have a happy Christmas with Selena Kyle and cure her insanity. Oh, yeah, I feel really fucking now. It's even the bit where Penguin dies, you know, the black blood coming out of his mouth. And, you know, Sharon just went, yeah, I feel really Christmassy, Ethan. Great. But she loved it. Sharon loves Batman. She studied psychology. So to her, this was a joy with the psychiatry and the psychology of all this. But I'm going on. I could go on about this movie for ages. The soundtrack is stunning. There's not songs in it, but we do have one song by I can't even pronounce the name of it. Sushi and the Banshees.
Sushi and the Banshees.
Sushi and the Banshees. Who does the song to this, Face to Face?
Because Prince did the original.
Prince did the original soundtrack to this, but the rest of this is Danny Elfman. But Susie and the Banshees did the theme song to this, Face to Face, and did a great music video to it. It's a fantastic movie all around, and I can never stop watching this sometimes. It's a great movie, great Batman movie, and it's definitely my favorite. And it's actually up there with The Dark Knight as rated. People say the two greatest Batman films of all time are The Dark Knight and Batman Returns. So fair play to both of them, and deservedly so, I think. And even Matt Reeves actually said his two favorite films are Batman Begins and Batman Returns. So we're seeing a little references in the Batman with Catwoman and Penguin. So I'm hoping Matt Reeves brings something back, because I do miss the Gothic style, the more grim and horrific grittiness. And I think that's what Matt Reeves is going to do. Will we see it? Here's hoping. But I do have a good feeling with Matt Reeves, and I know Conor will agree with me. I feel we've got a good movie coming up next. I'll follow on in this style. Anyways, I'm going on now. So let's now, it's favorite moments time, isn't it? Yes, it is. Favorite moments time. So we'll start again round at Conor. What's your favorite moments?
Thank you, Ethan. I've actually got a fun fact about this film that I don't boast about, but knowing me, this is 100% true. My dad is a graphic designer, so he's worked with a lot of companies, and in 1989 he worked with, and I've just texted him now to try and find the name of the company. He worked with the company that worked on designing the set for Gotham City, so the gothic kind of look. I don't think he worked on the Batcave or anything like that. I think it was just specifically the landscape of Gotham City. So in many ways, it was carried over into this film because it's the same kind of tone. So I just thought that he's worked on other things like Walking with Dinosaurs as well. But that's just a fun little fact that I thought I'd share. But favorite moments wise, yeah, I think kind of the penguin's emergence from the sewers on the giant duck, just that's iconic. That's got to be my favorite moment. And as I mentioned, Catwoman getting pushed out of the window by Christopher Walken. In fact, one of the things that kind of shocked me when I first saw this film is that Christopher Walken's in it, because he's not credited as kind of, he's not even on the poster, I don't think. So you kind of, Christopher Walken back then was a big name actor. So kind of the fact that you've got such star power in there that even Christopher Walken doesn't come in the top 4 or whatever is unbelievable. I just find that so astonishing about this film to this day. But he's fantastic. He's so evil in it. Gotta love Christopher Walken in anything. Yeah, it is really the thing that kind of grips me about this film is, and it's not even a favorite moment. It's just, again, the tone. I just love the gothic tone. I'm a massive fan of the Christopher Nolan films. Massive, as anyone else would know. Yeah, I've got to hand it to Tim Burton. I think he really kind of gets the essence of Batman from the comic book perspective. And you've kind of got to appreciate what Christopher Nolan brought to it. But Tim Burton, I think, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a better trilogy than Christopher Nolan's. I think Christopher Nolan's is probably the better trilogy for me. But you can't kind of sniff at what Tim Burton's done with either of his films, but this one in particular. I just love the dark tone, and I agree with Ethan absolutely that I hope Matt Reeves really kind of brings that back, the kind of gothic, and it does look like he is from the little trailer that we got at DC Fandom. Absolutely, yeah. So gothic Batman is just amazing.
Yeah, thanks for that. I mean, totally agree. That's what I love about this film, and I put it as my favorite live action Batman film because of the gothic tone, the maturity. And I would actually say it's the most mature and darkest Batman film. Maybe not the complexly written, but it's definitely the darkest. I mean, some of the dialogue was sexually driven, which I'll get to favorite moments with the Penguin later. But yeah, funny enough, you say Christopher Walken because he was great in this. And I think that's one of the things I love about this film is it brought in non-supervillains, which is something we got in the animated series and the comics. There was always villains who can walk among us during the day and just wear business suits. And Christopher Walken was one of those characters. And originally, the original script, and I think that may be why they didn't put him as the one of the top 4 of the cast and stuff, is originally they were going to reveal Christopher Walken's character was actually Penguin's brother. So it would have shown like 2 monsters, one who hides everything and one who's physically a monster, but you sort of wonder who's the worst of them. But obviously they scrapped that and stuff like that and changed him into Max Schreck. But yeah, he was a great villain. Probably one of the best non-super villains. But yeah, so over to Jake.
My favourite moment is definitely like when you first meet the Penguin like properly, like in the sewer with Max, and they're all around the table, and he's showing up all his umbrellas, and he goes, "Poetic irony or there's poetic justice," or something like that. And it's one of my favourite bits in the film, and it's probably Devito's best scene in the whole film. And like I said earlier, I also like the Catwoman scene when she transforms. And I also agree with what it's about psychology. It's so good if you like want to study a character's psychology. If you like, you to watch this film because it handles it perfectly. It's got all sorts of different aspects of psychology, and if you're interested in that sort of thing, it is a bloody good film. And I always get all nostalgic when I watch it. I must watch it like 5 times a year, except this year with the apocalypse and everything. But it was nice to rewatch it at least 3 times this year because it is a good film you can watch any time of the year, really, even at Halloween, because it's dark and scary. But yeah, that's my thought about Batman Returns.
Okay, that was quick. Let's go to Susan.
All right, my favorite moment must be I really love the fight scene, the big fight scene. I thought that was really really awesome, beautifully choreographed and stuff, and I also like the new Batmobile and the way that and I like the way that uh, I love the Catwoman bits. She's great, and I agree, Jake. I was going to say the penguin in the sewer with the umbrellas as well, and everybody eating bits of other things that are gross on the table too. I mean, like that was just there was an underworld Christmas party going on, and that they had a late arrival, and that was fun, and it really was Christmassy. You know, it had a it had a heck of a challenge to it's a challenge not to see it anyway. So yeah, those are my favorite moments. Back over to you, Ethan.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, I mean, the Christmas part is great, but you can watch this any time of the year. And I've just remembered this will be for Jake, and I wonder if you might know what I'm talking about. The original script because of this being so influential for future Batman generations and stories, the thing they always do is Penguin and Catwoman team up. And there was a cartoon series back in the early 2000s called The Batman. Not the movie coming out, but there was a cartoon called The Batman.
Also a pillar of my childhood.
Yes, and I like that show as well, where Joker had big long green hair and stuff like that. Riddler looked like bloody Marilyn Manson, which was really quite funny. But there was an episode where Penguin and Catwoman team up to try and find treasure or a museum, and that was the original script for Batman Returns. Originally, they were going to team up and find treasure, which was under the city. But then they scrapped that because they thought, it's a bit cheesy. Let's do something more gothic. But there's one episode in particular where they do team up, and that's the original script for the movie. So just thought I'd point that out. But anyways, over to Craig and David. Your favorite moments?
Well, I think anything when Michelle Pfeiffer comes in, all appearances is brilliant. It's real S&M. There's an artist called Alan Jones. He was working in the 60s and 70s and pretty controversial, now he's classed as like a real cult, but at the time he was blasted out as a sexist, in a sense, But artist costumes are brilliant. I think anything with Michelle Pfeiffer in it is great, especially this movie.
One of my favorite scenes is probably when Batman uses, those butterfly knife things he has that are shaped like butterflies, like bats. Sorry, they're and he throws them. I don't know what they're called.
Batarangs.
That's it. Yeah.
Batarangs, yeah.
He chucks it, and then this little furry little dog has it in its mouth, and it brings him back to him. That's probably my favorite moment. But I love the use of the penguins. I couldn't work out if they were robotic or real or not. I'm not sure, but that was they were quite cool. And I love the scenes with the Batmobile when it changes into different stuff, and then in the end it's like a little bullet car and it goes right through the alleyway.
Yeah,
it was just pretty cool.
The car's the star, really looking. It looks like a sleek Mercedes, from the future.
Oh, and when Christopher Walken is like electrocuted at the end. He turns into like something out of Tales from the Crypt with electrified face, and that was brilliant. And yeah, I think I saw this at the cinema. You know, I've got a feeling because when Catwoman was in the, I always thought it was a museum, but when she's in the shop, what do you call it, department store, and she whips, and then the two security guards are there, and then she says, "Oh, they don't pay you enough." I remember being in the cinema, and all the men in the cinema burst out laughing at that scene. I think it should have been. You're right, though, Ethan. It should have been. It would have been better if it was a museum at night with security guards there at night time. It would have made more sense. So I reckon that's probably how that scene came about. Yeah, that's my favourite moments. Back to you, Ethan.
Nice. Thanks, Greg. I mean, God, favorite moments. I mean, we've already said the opening really sets it up. And, it shows the Cobblepots. And I think it was great for like anybody who knows the Penguin. You're getting the idea this is not the Penguin you knew in the comics or this stuff like that. And the fact the Penguin is in a cage, they put this baby in a cage. And he's going, and he pulls in the cat, doesn't he? The cat he pulls the cat in and starts killing the cat. And his parents are just there with the drinks going, shit, I think we better get rid of him. And I do love, as Jake's already said, the introduction to the Penguin is great. You just get the reveal of this new modernized Penguin. And he does use a lot of words and speeches that are familiar with the classic Penguin, like fancy words and stuff like that, tragic irony or poetic justice, you tell me. The usage of the umbrellas is great. Catwoman's transformation's great. I love that, how she just mentally snaps and stuff like that, and just ruins her whole apartment, don't she? And one of my favorite touches is just her lights in the bedroom say hello there, and she hits out the certain letters, and when it pans away, you see from the window it says hell here. And I just think, that was brilliant. And the whole costume of Catwoman, she was great. The S&M style, the whole sexual style was brilliant. I thought that was a really nice touch, and it brought about a new modern style. And the style of the costume was actually based on her. The designer of the costume said he wanted it to be based on Selina's mind, because as the film progresses, she gets more and more unstable. So the costume itself becomes more and more ripped, like a jigsaw puzzle. Actually, one of my favorite moments, and I was meaning to get to this, some of the dialogue in this is brilliant, and it shows how adult it is. And there was one bit which I'll always remembered as a kid, and this is when I thought, I probably shouldn't watch this. But was when Penguin, he gets elected, don't he? He's getting the votes and all that, and he's going like, oh, thank you. And there's that fangirl, like typical babe with long wavy hair and big boobs and stuff. And he goes, I'll give you a badge. Yeah. Pressing up against this woman's chest, and you think, Penguin's such a pervert. And then he gets upstairs, and one of his boys says, oh, Oswald, there's some body here to see you. And Selina's laid out on the bed, so sexy. And Penguin says, just the pussy I wanted to see. And then she says, it's getting chilly in here. I'll warm you. I remember watching it and thinking, what? But it was that's a really good bit. I do love the final act of the movie. The whole final moment, the big final showdown. I think some of the Penguins were robotic. To Craig's question about that, I think some of them were robotic, and some of them were trained to come out. And they did a lot of takes because the Penguins kept running off. So screw this, I'm not going to blow up Gotham. But
all of the close-ups are animatronic. All the further away ones were real life. So if you see them like putting their goggles on and the rocket shooting off them, they were the animatronic ones.
Ah, right. But I love the whole final showdown and just how Penguin just becomes more animalistic, doesn't he? He just loses the plot completely until finally, him and Batman are fighting each other. Two freaks locked in a duel, and Penguin falls in the water, And I love the bit at the end. I love the bit at the end where Michelle Pfeiffer, now unhinged more than ever, ready to kill Max Schreck. And this to me was true Batman and Catwoman style from the comics, where it was them fighting each other, but he wanted to save her from her madness. And I see the little Santa hat there. I love that bit with Michelle Pfeiffer, and where Batman rips off his mask and reveals him as Bruce Wayne. I love that bit. You do wish they got the happy ending. You do. That's when you wish there was a third film, because Tim Burton wanted to bring Catwoman back, and they get the happy ending eventually. And that captures the essence of Batman and Catwoman from the comics perfectly. And she says, I would love to live with you in your castle forever, just like a fairy tale. It's heartbreaking. You wish for that to have a bit of... Then, of course, classic Catwoman, she just snaps back into Catwoman and goes, I just can handle myself, and kills Max Schreck. And I love it how he tries to shoot her. 8 lives down. I think I'll save the next one for Christmas, and kills him and stuff. Originally, Max Schreck wasn't going to be in this. It was actually also going to be Two-Face in one script. So originally, this was going to be Billy Dee Williams getting his face fried, and then that's how he would have turned into Two-Face.
Max Schreck is the name of the vampire in Nosferatu.
That's right, the actor. Yeah.
The actor
in
Nosferatu.
Yeah, that's it. And in the original script, there was going to, instead of Max Schreck getting electrocuted, it would have been Harvey Dent. So that's how he would have turned into Two-Face. And that sets up the next one, Billy Dee Williams coming back with his coin as a Two-Face. But I do love that ending, and just that bit at the end where they're driving and Batman sees the shadow of Michelle Pfeiffer, and he says, "Oh, stop the car," and she's not there. And he's thinking, is she alive? It's just that black cat. I mean, it's heart-wrenching. You just want to see them get back together again. And of course, they're driving off, and you've got the great bit, Alfred saying, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Wayne. Merry Christmas, Alfred." And I remember watching that bit with Sharon. As soon as they said that, I said, "See, it's a Christmas movie." He said, "Merry Christmas." And I, okay. But
you know what, Ethan? When what's his name? Oh God, it's gone out of my head. Madonna's ex. What's his name?
Sean Penn.
No, Christopher Walken. So when he was giving out Christmas presents in the square and that, I said to myself, "Oh, this is quite a nice Christmas movie." And then the big present comes out, and then out pops fucking skeletons on motorbikes with machine guns. It would have been. It could have gone either way, really.
It's great Tim Burton sort of.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody's mentioned one of the best bits in this was the fact that Batman, he's got that bomb, hasn't he, or something, and he's walking, and one guy tries to jump him, and he doesn't turn his head or anything. He just goes,
yeah.
And then it's that big giant guy, and he goes, "Come on, hit me," and he goes, nothing, and then he looks, and he's put the bomb in his stomach, and Batman just goes, bang, goes to the sewers, walks off, boom.
He's super cool, It's super
Okay, it goes against Batman's killing rule, but you just think, oh, we'll let him off with that one because it's so badass. But I think there's so many we've said about the nose biting bit. Just that was so good. Just even a spray of blood coming out. I mean, I love effects like that where they're so graphic and stuff. Not CGI, but proper real. It's so good. And Penguin's just, and then he just, Max Schreck's trying to talk to him, isn't he? But he's so deluded with this woman he wants to bonk in bed, obviously. He's just like, I just want to fill her void. Like I said, Penguin's such a pervert in this. But then again, no wonder he's been stuck in the sewers for 30 years.
That's a good one. I just want to fill her void. That's definitely a first-line chat, isn't it?
But and it just goes up there with, just the pussy I wanted to see.
If the Penguin was in the sewer, there's not going to be fish down there, is there? So what was he surviving on?
Well, I'm assuming the zoo obviously was part of the circus, wasn't it? So he ended up with the circus freaks, and that's when they put him. When Bruce Wayne found the old newspaper article saying an aquatic bird boy. So I suppose, as typical freak style in a gothic movie, they probably fed him fish, thinking, "Oh yeah, he's a living human penguin, so we'll give him fish, keep him alive, bulk him up a bit." But actually, that's a bit that I like, and it's very chilling. And I never quite understood it as a kid, but
What
as an adult,
was and because I thought the circus tied in with the Joker stuff, but it wasn't, because apparently he was brought up with the circus. Apparently, the Penguin.
yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm assuming the circus and the zoo were all part together, and eventually the zoo got shut down. Eventually, because of the circus taking children and killing children, they said the circus was gone. So all the surviving members were hiding out in their old sewers, which was part of the zoo and the circus.
It's a bit like Geeks Assembled.
Pretty much.
We're just clinging on.
Yeah, we're hiding in the sewer.
Get ourselves a wee table and a wee radioactive junk.
I'll be the Riddler, definitely, because he's nuts. And
Yeah.
that's me in a nutshell.
Can I be Michelle Pfeiffer? Jake like,
Just get the leather suit.
yeah.
But
I want to be loved by you. Just jump up.
but I do.
Jake is the penguin.
What's that?
Yeah.
Could be the penguin. There you go. I do. I suppose I love that bit. There's one bit I like where Bruce Wayne's actually doing his detective work on the screen and stuff, and he finds the old newspaper article, which eventually says children have been missing and stuff like that. And obviously, he works out the Penguin's a child killer. It's such a chilling moment, because even when as a kid, I didn't quite grasp onto it, but as an adult, it's so chilling, because when he reads it's so creepy. And he goes, "Oh, they all escaped before they could be questioned." And Alfred says, "I suppose you feel better now, trying to find the truth." And Batman says, "No, actually, I feel worse." Because, of course, he's just worked out, oh, Penguin's a child killer. And it's such a chilling moment. It's very chilling. And I do love the bit, like the Batmobile slowly going through Gotham, and he sees Penguin getting all the names of the children, like the firstborn sons of Gotham, just doing that and stuff. But I think I've said so many moments. There's so many good moments in this film. Or even the bit when they finally find out where Penguin, it's that bit where Penguin's giving a speech, and they use that CD to bring on what he actually thinks of Gotham. "Oh, just relax, I'll take over them." And then he's like, "I didn't say that."
That's how you know it was the 90s, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
Everyone had a CD player.
yeah. Of course, he has to add in that wee bit where it goes like, "What? Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Remix.
The Newcastle one. Why I'm fine, man.
Oh, I mean that's probably all my favorite moments. There's so many, but we could go on forever. So I think now, I suppose, because we've done favorite moments, let's all give our ratings to this wonderful gothic movie. So over to Connor. What's your rating on this?
I've got to give this an 8.5 out of 10. It's definitely one of the best Batman films. It's not got the best Catwoman in it, though, because that is Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway.
Halle Berry.
Okay,
Oh, Halle Berry, yeah.
I absolutely stand by that it is. That's just me. Thank God Lee's not here to.
I was going to say,
Lee would have been a good Catwoman.
so I'll let you off with that. I knew you had to say that, but I thought, I'll give him the satisfactory. Go on then, son. Go on then. I know you're not Michelle Pfeiffer, but go on, son. Go on. Anyway, thank you, Connor. Yes. Over to Jake. Your rating.
Oh, let's think. I'll give this film 10 homicidal rubber ducks out of 10.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Over to Susan. Your rating.
I will give this 10 funky umbrellas out of 10. It's great. I I really enjoy it, and I've seen it twice this past couple weeks, and I really enjoyed seeing it twice. You can watch it again one right after another. So anyway, that's my
Nice.
Cool.
Thank you, Susan. Over to Craig and David. What are your ratings on this?
I'll give it 10 rocket fueled penguins out of 10.
I'll give it 10 Joe Biden Catwomans out of 10.
Nice. Well, I mean, obviously, well, it's a no-brainer. This being my favorite. For me, it's always going to be a 10 out of 10. I don't know whether to say 10 out of 10 batarangs that get taken by a poodle or 10 out of 10 umbrellas. But yeah, it's 10 out of 10.
Catapult.
It's 10 out of 10 for this absolute Gothic masterpiece. And again, I wish they did a third one and stuff. But I know Michael Keaton's coming back to do the Flash movie where Flash goes to different universes. And Michael Keaton's going to come back as Batman to play.
Maybe what about the Warner Brothers universe as well? That should be interesting if they bring that back as him in that as well, maybe.
Yeah, so I know Michael Keaton's coming back, and that would be great.
I believe also I have heard rumours that he's doing a Batman Beyond film.
Oh,
well.
And that would be good. And I mean, for everybody who's watching and stuff like that, Batman Beyond is set years into the future and was a sequel to Batman the Animated Series, where a young kid called Terry McGinnis discovers an old Batman, probably around about in his 70s now at that point, is, Batman. Bruce Wayne is Batman, and Terry becomes the new Batman. If they did that, and that was the rumor, they're setting this up so Batman, you get to see what happened to Tim Burton's Batman. And if they do follow that line, I really hope they do. And it'd be great because one of the rumors was they said they would be interested to bring Michelle Pfeiffer back as Catwoman. And maybe we will get that happy ending after all, where they do get together. So who knows? It'd be great if they could do like that film, Return of the Joker, where Robin, now an older person, has been possessed digitally by the Joker. That was that'd be great. It'd be funny if he turned into some de-aged, like they do with Mark Hamill just recently in The Mandalorian, de-aged Jack Nicholson as a Joker. Yeah. That would be quite funny.
I think, especially in the Flash film, it could be quite easy to get Jack Nicholson back because, as far as I remember, he's retired from acting, but he's not against acting. So he could kind of say, "Oh, well, I'll come out of retirement for this one film." If it's a 5-minute cameo, which in the Flash it probably will be.
And he did love playing the Joker. I mean, he got his life. As soon as he did the Joker, that was him set for life.
Yeah.
Because I think he got a lot of the sharings on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think he
could easily say, "Oh yeah, I could come back and play the Joker," and use the technology where they made Luke Skywalker look younger, or certain actors look younger in films. They could do that with Jack Nicholson and bring him back as a ghost or some form of the Joker. But who knows? But anyway, we just have to wait and see what Matt Reeves brings and see what Michael Keaton does in a new Flash movie. So overall,
also, just to add, I think kind of Matt Reeves is in a similar position as Tim Burton, and Robert Pattinson's in a similar position to Michael Keaton, because Michael Keaton, for anyone that knows, did start out his career as a comedian. He was in comedy films, and
yeah, that's true. Actually,
I think when he got cast in Batman, everyone was like, "Oh, well, is he right for this? Is he right?"
That's always a common thing, isn't it, with Batman films? With Michael Keaton, they're like, "Oh, him who played Mr. Mom." Shut up! He became a great Batman.
Yeah,
and then after that, Heath Ledger. Everybody was like, "Oh, him from A Knight's Tale and 10 Things I Hate About You." Turned out to be an incredible Joker, didn't he? And he proved them wrong. Heath Ledger was an incredible Joker. And now we've got the same thing with Robert Pattinson. "Oh, him who twinkles like a fucking vampire." Like, shut up. I always say to them, you see the lighthouse? Go watch that. Go on. Go to your corner. But it's the same thing. It's the same. It's just a common thing we get with Batman films. You know, whenever they say new people, you think, oh, what? But I think, one can hope history might be repeating itself. So we might, Robert Pattinson, I think he can play a good Batman.
Yeah.
He looks it so far from the clips I'm seeing and stuff like that. Even Colin Farrell, who's going to play the Penguin, looks a good take on the Penguin. And Zoe Kravitz, I've only seen one picture, and one clip, but she could be a good Catwoman. So I think they're on the right track to bring something new, but something familiar back.
I do think Paul Dano is going to steal it, though.
Oh, Paul Dano will be good as the Riddler. I know that.
Yeah, he's a great actor, He
He
played Brian Wilson, the singer of the Beach Boys. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He was.
What was that film called, Connor?
It was,
Love and Mercy or something.
Yeah. It was
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was in. There was one, Little Miss Sunshine. He was pretty good at that. No.
Yeah. 12 Years a Slave. There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah.
But actually, it was funny because I remember when I was in Glasgow and I watched them filming the new Batman film near the cemetery, and there was a whole crowd of us, and we were all staying quiet and stuff. But there was this couple, this snotty-nosed couple that went past and go, "Oh, what are they filming over here? What is it?" Right? Oh, and another Batman film. Oh, who's playing Batman? Robert Pattinson. Oh, the geeky guy. It's gonna be crap. And they walk up, and you can see a few people go, "Doom, you're gonna be great."
Robert Pattinson would make a great Batman, so you shut your head. Scotland.
And it's so funny because as soon as that trailer came out, I thought of that fucking snotty-nosed couple, and I'm like,
it was the Crankies that gone off tour.
Yeah,
they lost the tour party.
I still really think that was the best trailer.
Yeah, they could have been a good Batman and Robin. Oh, great.
But anyways, who knows what they're going to bring with Batman and stuff. But overall, I think this has been the most influential, and it is one of the greatest Batman movies of all time, and stuff like that. So overall, that's our cast today for Batman Returns, and that's us at Kink Assembled. I would like to thank Connor, Jake, Craig, David, and Susan for all coming on with me to do this. And I'm just trying to find my bell because I want to remind people, if you want to get notifications about this on YouTube, subscribe to us, ring the bell. Ring the bell to get notifications and stuff. We've got a group on Facebook. We've even got a page. We've even got a Twitter page. Follow us. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section. Down there, not literally down there, but the comment section, not me.
More entendre, Ethan. Come on.
Leave that to a perverted penguin. But let us know what you thought of Batman Returns, everybody. If you want to join us, find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. For now, let's just say good night and God bless. Stay safe. And if you don't see us before Christmas, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
See you later.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Hope you get. Oh, not on the naughty list. I think he's on the fucking naughty list. I think.